What's going on? I'm ready to give you another memory training tip. This tip deals with when you have a time limit. So I did a historical dates event where you have 5 minutes to memorize as many dates as possible. I went for 30 because it's been a while and I missed some dates. Now what happened was when I was going through and trying to come up with images for these different events like unemployment ratio under 1%, I spent a lot of time for some specific dates on trying to come up with the images. And that took time away to go for these other dates, the dates that I missed because I was running out of time. So I quickly had to picture something, which it turns out I pictured completely wrong when I was actually recalling the date for the event. Now, how this applies to when you're actually learning information is if you have so much time, maybe you have a day before a test and you have to learn so much information, don't spend all your time on the difficult information. You might even skip the hard information you can't understand and move on. And that's because it doesn't make sense if you have 10 chapters and one chapter is giving you a hard time and you spend 5 hours on that one chapter. Well, guess what? In those 5 hours, you could have done the rest of the 9 chapters. So it's better to have more of the information than just one piece of the information, right? And so, of course, it varies on what you're learning. If you're learning something like math, I'm pretty sure you can't just skip a chapter because the math in the following chapters are built on the chapter 1, right? The first chapter. So you can't really skip it. But say if you have a history test coming up, you probably don't need to know every single history event in order for everything else to make sense that you're studying. And so that's where if you're having trouble, there's so much information to memorize for one chapter. You're like, okay, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to skip this one. It's going to be too complicated, too difficult, and let me focus on the rest of the chapters. Because that's going to allow you to get more information in the limited amount of time you have. So say, for example, next time when I practice historical dates, say if I do 50 and I have a date that's giving me trouble and I'm spending more than 5 seconds on it, guess what? I'm going to drop it and move on to the next one. Because if I spend 30 seconds on one historical date, guess what? In those 30 seconds, I could have got 3 more. And that makes all the difference in competition, right? 3 more could be the difference between breaking the world record, being first, or becoming second. And so that's why it's so important to know, okay, how much time do you have? Is it necessary for you to know every single piece of information, or can you skip some and move on and learn the rest? That's a little bit easier than that one information you're really stuck on. So hopefully this video makes sense, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.